An interesting thing about the discussions around AI is that they are always future oriented. And their focus is generally on some definitive outcomes that are likely to appear in an indefinite future. Looking ahead is a good thing, but why there is a hesitancy to talk about the current status? And why this smart ignorance about the past, the real past, that led to the creation of this smart improvisation called artificial intelligence? For example, on AI, people often prefer to talk from the 1956, from the Dartmouth Conference, where from the first time the idea was introduced as any computer program that does something that we would normally think of as intelligent in the human beings. By starting from there, they smartly ignore the background of such conferences. Or we can say the whole chain and series of the conferences that were conducted from 1946 to 1953, which were popularly called the Macy Conferences, as they were hosted by the Macy Foundation. And those that were conducted in parallel to that, the Ratio Club meetings of the British. It is important here to note that those meetings and seminars were not attended by the mathematicians and the engineers alone. They were also attended by the biologists, anthropologists, sociologists, physiologists, psychologists, and psychiatrists. And these series of interdisciplinary interactions and exchanges produced several thought provoking ideas, including an analysis on the formal analogies between the behavioral aspects of the living beings and the mechanical and electronic systems, and set of other ideas. And they all were the product of an in depth research on the human, his biological, psychological, social, and behavioral aspects. It is interesting to note that those research activities and their outcomes, the military technologies of that time, which we now call the artificial intelligence, they were started during the period of great wars. Many of these were initiated either in the pre Second World War phase or in the post war phase during the Cold War period. And they all inherit the temptations to read and replicate the human behavior and its different aspects, which is natural because during a war, the urgency to read the message, communications, and the minds of the enemies is always high. As George Gilder mentioned in his book, Gaming AI, how Alan Turing led a team in creating the special purpose computers that exceeded all human capabilities in breaking the cryptographic codes. And he wrote, these computers hacked every successive version of the Enigma code used for German military communications, outperforming both the human intelligence of the Nazi cryptographers and the human intelligence of unaided British code breakers. Those who like to trace the history of technological change can see that the growth of communication, computation, automation tools, and systems that made their beginnings in the World War II, since then given a high priority in the military R&D activities of the USA. And this part of the world, as we know, was always on some race. The only change from the past is perhaps last time the race was with the Soviet Union, and this time it is with the communist China. So the world of AI which is leveraging the ideas and concepts of that phase, sometimes must look back and recall the warning and alerts given by the founding members of these very systems. In his book, The Human Use of Human Beings, Norbert Wiener wrote, "When I say machines danger to society, it is not from the machine itself, but from what man makes of it." And he perfectly described the situation of his time when he wrote, "I have spoken about the machines, but not only the machines having the brains of brass and thews of iron. When human atoms are knit into an organization in which they are used, not in their full right as the responsible human beings, but as cogs and levers and rods, it matters little that their raw material is flesh and blood. And what is used as an element in the machine is in fact an element in the machine." I would say today's AI futurists and drivers seems ignorant about the past and innocent about the future. When I see Dr. Kai-Fu Lee concluding his works, AI Superpowers, China, Silicon Valley, and the New World Order, with an innocent statement that says, "Let us choose to let machines be machines and let humans be humans. Let us choose to simply use our machines and, most importantly, to love one another." I simply smile and think, what could be an alternative to this innocence? Perhaps responsibility. In this 21st century world, which is increasingly becoming multipolar, the need is to get away from the bipolar mindset of the past on every matter, and at the same time, an honest attempt to produce a more democratic and decentralized version of AI needs to be made. That may require the responsible humans from all sides to come together.